Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and I am joined by a very, very special guest today. So, I'm Dr. Michael Lee, if you don't know who I am. So, this is my daughter, Constance, and today is, I call it Daddy Daycare, because some of you don't know, some of you know my wife, some of you don't know my wife. And I've sent Joyce, my wife, over to Spain this week, and it means I've got this bundle of joy. So I just thought, wouldn't it be great if she joined us for today's Facebook Live? Because today's all about managing wealth. And not only about managing your wealth, but also getting out of debt. Because just think about it. If you are in debt and if you cannot manage wealth, times with loved ones like children, wives, husbands, friends, family, it becomes stressful. It becomes like, oh, life is not how I wanted it to be. So that's why, although I'm grateful that that Constance is with me today, I also know that's my responsibility as a father. I can spend this time with you, with her, but also to give you all of my 5 tips of how to manage debt and manage your wealth more effectively, because all I can speak from is experience. How many of you agree that there are lots of successful people in the world and I want their life sometimes? How many of you agree like that? Yeah? Because the truth is that success leaves clues. And whoever you look at, all right, you causing trouble. Whoever you look at, they've already done it. And some of you, yes, I know some of you follow me here on social media, whether you're checking in live on Facebook, on Twitter, or even on YouTube. Some of you follow me because you know that, yes, you may have seen me speak on stages around the world with Success Resources, T. Harv Eker, Tony Robbins. Yes, I've been on those stages. But the question is, how? What was the journey? What was the experience? What was the learnings? Because remember, although in today's day and age, we are all about, I want everything now. And there's this kind of expectation that we expect things to happen straight away. And of course, with that expectation, it actually leads with disappointment. But ultimately, we need to get used to delayed gratification. Delaying ourselves so that we know that we are playing the long game, not the short game, right? Because whenever there is someone who says, oh yeah, I'll make you a millionaire overnight, it's got scam written all over it. But the thing is that's why it comes down to whoever you listen to, whoever you speak with, whoever you connect with, all you need to ask yourself is, what are their results? Are they credible enough? What are the stages? And Constance just wants to say hi to you. Although, yes, it's kind of her bedtime now. But the thing is, it was nice for her to join today. So I'm going to run through these, of course, my 5 tips. And I think I'm going to start with mindset, of course. Because we all want to effectively manage our own money. Because the people that don't manage money well, they're the ones who are constantly in debt. They're the ones who are constantly running out of money or living paycheck to paycheck. But the truth is, that is not a happy life. That is a stressful life. And it's about making sure that we can have the happy life that we want. Oh, I'm going to put you down. You don't want to go down. Let's put it. You hold on to me then. Okay, so I'm going to run with you guys a positive mindset. So the thing is, some of you were looking at me today and thought, how can Michael still do a Facebook Live with his daughter? I have a positive mindset. And my positivity is I can still, look after my daughter whilst also delivering the value that you guys need. And the first thing, it starts with mindset, because ultimately you look at today's society, and this is the society we live in. It's a destructive society. You do 100 things wrong, you do 100 things right, and you do one thing wrong. What does society ask you to look at? The one thing wrong, right? And this is why it always starts with mindset, because the mindset is actually the foundation to your result. And the thing is that if you want to follow today's society and just highlight everyone the one wrong thing, yeah, it means that you want to be destructive like the rest of society. And that's what normal is. Who wants to be normal, right? I don't want you to be, mediocre. I want you to be extraordinary. And extraordinary is when we recognize the 100 things right, celebrate them, and then, of course, we reflect on the things that didn't go so well. And when we reflect on them, what do you want? Okay, when we reflect on them, then we learn. And that's why I want everyone to make sure that you are focusing on the right thing. Because there's a famous saying in psychology, so whatever you focus on will expand. So if you keep focusing on the negative things, guess what you'll be attracted to? You'll be attracted to the negative things. But if you focus on the positive things, guess what will you be attracted to? The positive things. And that's why I always say, oh, but my God, people say, I want my life to be easier. I'm like, you're one of those people that want to get things easy by doing things that are easy. And I'll tell you now, if you keep doing the easy things, everything in life will be hard. If you do the hard things, then things will become easier. So you have to be challenged, not only in your own mind, but also in your beliefs. This is what I always find really interesting about beliefs, People always say to me, oh, Michael, I can't do that. I can't get as much money as someone else. I can't start a business. I can't do coaching. I can't whatever, X, Y, and Z. It's a belief. And then, do you know what? Then they go and talk to other people and says, do you know what they do? Really, really stupid. Right? I don't think that's right. That's what they say, right? And what I'm trying to get at here is, we're very quick to judge other people's beliefs, but we actually never challenge our own. How many of you can see that? Yeah? We judge. And people judge. And I get it. They judge all the time. But the truth is that we need to ask ourselves, are we willing to actually look at our own beliefs and ask ourselves these two questions? One, does it serve ourselves well if we believe in that? If it's a no, why'd you do it? Because it means if you believe it, you just want to suffer. And the second thing is, if I believe in that thing, does it help my loved ones? If it doesn't help your loved ones, why do you want your loved ones to suffer? So believe in the right things. Believe in the things that serve you well. Whether believing in a religion, believing in a God, believing in other people, believing in mentors. It has to serve a purpose. If it doesn't serve a purpose, there's no point believing it. And let's hope that every one of you can see that purpose as it's going to love you more and love your loved ones better too. So let's move on to a few questions that I always get from people when they ask me about managing money, and particularly the mindset of money. So the first thing is, how do I develop this positive mindset? So the simplest way is, every morning, this is what I do. I ask myself about who am I going to be. And the reason why I ask myself about this is this. Do you know people, they have like a to-do list every single day. And this to-do list, right, it's almost like never ending. And when you complete one or two things, then a few more things add up at the bottom, right? So it's like a conveyor belt of to-do list. But the thing is that we were never human doers. We were always human beings. And this is why every morning, this is how I develop my positive mindset, is I don't ask myself, what do I need to do today, Michael? I ask myself, who am I going to be today? Because as soon as I know who I'm going to be, my to-do list becomes really, really easy. And the thing that I ask myself is, what are three identities I'm going to be? The first one is, I'm going to be the best husband I can be. Then I'm going to be the best father I can be. Then finally, I'm going to be the best leader I can be. And as soon as I know what the best of those look like, then I know exactly what I need to do. So I look at my to-do list. Okay, I'm going to do that whilst being the best at this. I'm going to do that while being the best at that. I'm going to do that while being the best. And the thing is, I want you guys to actually ask yourself, who do you need to be every day? And as soon as you know who you need to be, you have a lot of clarity in your life. And as soon as you have clarity, that just helps you take that one step forwards so that you can then not worry about the little things that don't really matter, but you just worry about the things that do matter. So that's the first thing I would always recommend for people. Next thing is that, next question a lot of people ask me is, what are the practical strategies I can do for like managing financial stress? One of these that I always do is, I call it Little Voice Mastery. And this is from my mentor, Mr. Blessinger, and he has a book called Little Voice Mastery. And essentially, we have all these little voices in our minds. And these little voices, they take us out. And when they take us out, the question is, do we allow them to then control us? Because there's a simple question here when I talk about psychology to other clinicians. They hate it when I say this as a fellow psychologist. I say to them, look, anxiety and depression is not a disease. It's a choice. And I'll give you guys this choice as well. You have the choice of either allowing anxiety, depression, worry, emotions to control you, or you can control it. But that's your choice. Because whatever choice you make is still a decision. Whatever decision you make there's always a consequence. But I want you to really reflect on that and ask yourself, whatever little voice happens in my head, does it serve me well? And the truth is that a lot of these little voices, they're negative. They're going to be saying things like, you shouldn't be doing that. What will people think? You know what you're talking about? I'm too young. I don't know enough. Blah, 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 blah. All right? These little voices. And they take you out. And the little voices, let me ask you, what emotion does it bring on? Brings on the number one emotion that everyone has every day. Begins with F. Fear. Brings on fear. And things that not many people realize that every emotion in our lives actually has an intention. The emotion of fear, its intention is to stop you from doing what you're supposed to do. Because you can be wealthy, you can be happy, you can be healthy. But sometimes fear stops us from gaining that. I'm just going to give you a quick story about fear. Because I learned this about 20 years ago. I used to, when I was in clinic, right? I used to see a fella, it was almost 20 years ago, yeah, who was serving in Afghanistan. He was a soldier. And I said to him, do you know, hats off to you for being so fearless on the battlefield. And he said, Michael, stop. I'm like, well, what have I said? And he says, no, you do not understand. You've got it all wrong, Michael. And I'm like, what do you mean I've got it all wrong? You guys are fearless. You are on the battlefield fighting to save the world, not just a country. You are saving the world. He says, no, you got it wrong. We were terrified. That's what he said. Terrified. I was thinking, to be a soldier, you have to be fearless. That was my belief, but it was wrong. They were terrified. And he said this, we were terrified because we did not know who was coming back that day. We did not know if I was going to come back that day. They just didn't know. And the truth is, that's the reality. There's always fear. So that he said to me is this, it's not that we were fearless. It's that we had courage. And I'm like, wow. Then I realized what he meant. You cannot have courage without fear. Fear has a purpose. But the problem is a lot of people, they live in fear. And they live there for a very, very long time because they choose not to go anywhere else. They just want to say, I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid. I can't do this, I can't do that. And guess what the result is? Nothing. Nothing changes because fear has got control of their life. When their finances, in their health, in their relationship, it's because of fear. We need to break through fear through having courage. You can live in fear or you can live in courage. Your choice. Type in the chat, which one do you want to be? Do you want to be fearful or do you want to be courageous? You let me know. And I want to see who are the people that are, you could say, the do whatever it takes people. And this essentially does separate the girls from the women, the boys from the men, the amateurs and the champions. Because the people that really want success in their lives, they will live a life of courage. And the people that do not want success, they will live a life of fear. Fear of what other people think. Fear of failing. Fear of not being good enough. Fear of the future, because the future doesn't even exist yet. It's just in our minds. We plan for the future. It's just in our minds. We don't even know what the future's what it holds. Because always remember this: there's only one certainty in life. It's death. Everything in between that, we fill in the blanks. But that's our choice. We choose what we want to do. So when it comes down to money now, in terms of strategies of managing money, I call this the 5-second rule. Each time a little voice goes off in your head, you have 5 seconds to change that negative voice into something positive. Right? Because if you do not change it, it then takes over the rest of the hour, the rest of the day, the rest of the week, and then your body and your actions. And then guess what happens after that? You lose. You fail. Because whatever you focus on then expands. Until you change it into something more positive, then you focus on the things that are going to help you. Then you will truly grow. Okay? Number 3. Another question I ask, people ask me, the third question is, how do I build a healthy relationship with money? And the best way to do it is actually experience not having money. Experience being broke. Right? Because, hi Constance, that's what she thinks of it. Experience being broke, she shouts. She's probably saying, yeah, good idea. Because when you experience being broke, then you will experience the value of money. Because always remember, money is just a tool. Money isn't the root of all evil. Money doesn't create evil. Money is not bad. But what I do know is if someone has no money, they struggle. Because everything around the world requires some amount of money, whether it's food, accommodation, hot water, energy. It requires money. But experience being broke or at least budgeted, I'm only going to spend £10 a day or $10 a day or €10 a day, whatever your currency is. That's it. That's all I can spend. Then you start to value it. Because like I said, money's a tool. It's not good, it's not bad, it's just a tool. It's like a hammer. You can use a hammer to build buildings, houses, build structures to help people. Or actually you can use a hammer to kill them. But it's a choice. It's just a tool. Don't get so emotional. Hey, look at them with all that money. I don't like them. At the end of the day, that's just your opinion. It's your own problem. Because what I understand is, if there are people that are generating lots of money and they use it for good, they're the people that will change the world. They're the people that will make the world a better place. But on the flip side, the people that are generating lots of money and using it for bad, they'll make the world a worse place. But it comes down to, the lesson here is, money just amplifies a person's character. If they're a bad person, they just be more bad. If they're a good person, they'll be more good. If they're generous, they become more generous. Okay? That's how we need to build a relationship. Build it by experiencing it, how it can help people, how you can value it, but also don't abuse it as well. So yeah, do like a budget or be broke for a week and see what happens. What you'll realize is that you'll find out that you have a lot of friends. People that really love you, even if you're broke. Okay, the fourth thing people ask me is this: how can I set and achieve financial goals that align with my own values? So ultimately, the first question is your own values. What are your values? The values I really hope that you have are loving values. They're not values of selfishness, not values of, oh yeah, just all about me, making my life better, other than making other people's lives better. If your values are true and they're honest and they're loving, fine. I'll help you achieve them. But the only way you can achieve them is through planning. And the one I use is T. Harv Eker's jar system. There are 6 jars, and it's important to make sure you manage those jars. Just to look at a previous Facebook Live, I explained that jar system. And if you want to learn more about it, I'm one of the trainers at the Millionaire Mind Intensive, that we teach that jar system to make sure people understand how it works, but more importantly, they implement it in their lives so that they can gain financial freedom just from using the jar system. But you have to have a system, because if there's no system, you're in chaos. I know you're not measuring, you're not even saving, you don't even know where your money is going, and essentially, you could just be losing money. There's no way of tracking it. So make sure that you're using some sort of system. Okay? Right. Number 5. The fifth tip I'm going to give you when it comes down to improving your wealth and making sure you can get out of debt as well. Actually, let me just go back to that system. So you must be saving money to get out of debt. And the debts that you have, particularly the ones that have high interest, they're liabilities. You need to focus on them first. The ones with low interest, that's fine, because you may be able to reinvest it and actually make money with something that's got a higher interest. So you actually make profit from it rather than lose money. Right, now let's go back. Let's go back to number 5 now. Okay, right. This is a really good question, actually. How can I break free from the financial habits that have been holding me back? Okay. Let me ask this question. How many of you are spenders here? How many of you like spending? Right? Next question I'm going to ask you is, if you're a spender, you put your hand up. Actually, if you haven't put your hand up, you're probably lying. If you put your hand up, thank you for being honest. If you're a spender, the question I ask you now is, do you spend on things that are useful? Or do you just spend on things that are not useful? Because there are some real chronic spenders there that spend on things that it makes absolutely no difference to their life or the life of their loved ones. And it's essentially wasting money, right? It's not respecting money. So if you want to actually develop better financial habits, you need to track where your money's going, right? You need to know what your income is and what your expenses are, because essentially, as soon as you know what your income and expenses are, you then know what your net worth is. You know how much you're worth per year, because this is how much the net amount you have per year. Some people, their net worth is negative because they spend more than they earn. And when they spend more than they earn, your net worth is in negative. But if you have a net worth of millions, that means, you're generating millions every single year. And that's what it's about. If you can generate those millions of dollars, pounds, euros, then the key thing is that the question is, how can you make it passive? Because when it's passive, you don't need to trade time for money. So what I want you to do is, think about those passive income vehicles and start them. Because, a lot of people don't start because they're afraid. And I spoke about fear just now. Have courage just to start. There's this famous saying in psychology, it only takes 20 hours to learn a skill. Not master a skill, but learn it. But the problem with this is this. A lot of people spend a whole lifetime just to start the first hour. And those are procrastinators, the perfectionists. Right? If that's you, just start. The hardest thing is starting. As soon as you start, you'll win. But I need you to start. Just write in the chat now, what's your first step? What's the vehicle you're going to start? Start now so I can be accountable. You can be accountable to me, and I want you to win. But you have to start. Because if you don't start, you do nothing, your result is nothing. You have to do something, because when we're talking about habits here, by the way, everything you do every single day, by the way, is a habit. People don't realize that. The things you choose to do is a habit. Also, the things you choose not to do is a habit. So, assess your habits. Assess whether these habits are going to serve you well or serve you badly. But regardless of whatever happens, I want you to reflect and think, okay, if I've got bad habits, what good habit do I need to do right now to improve my wealth, to improve my health, to improve my relationship, whatever it may be? Put it in the chat so I can be accountable to you as well. So while you're doing this and you're putting in the chat your next steps, I'm going to close up this Facebook Live. I really hope that you found it useful. I'm just looking at Constance here. You guys can't see it, but there's a bomb site of all like toys and food and stuff here now. You can't see it, but that's okay, because I know that I'm still able to deliver my experience to you today. Well, actually, she can still have a great time at the same time. So what I want you to do as well in the chat, put in the things that you've learned today. What are the things that you've learned in these 5 steps? And as you put them in, I want you to pin them up somewhere so you can see them. because you have to take action on it. Because a lot of people, they learn things and never take action. You need to take action on them. Take action on what you learn, because that's where the true power lies. So Francis Bacon says knowledge is power. It's false. Knowledge is potential power. The true power is when you execute what you know. So what you've learned today, go and execute it and go and win. So thank you so much for checking in today for live on that. Have a fantastic weekend. And I'll see you next week for next week's live. Have a great weekend. Bye for now.